welcome back to another Thursday of The Life Coach Twitch. I am The Life Coach. You're on Twitch. Well, you might be on YouTube, but I'm also The Life Coach there. If you check me out, please go onto YouTube and subscribe. It really does help me out if you do that. And also, I am at The Life Coach Insta on Instagram. And you can always become a member at holisticlifeconsultants.com. Becoming a member gives you access to exclusive streams, exclusive content, and more direct contact with me, yours truly, which obviously you want to do. Anyway, I'm going to fix the camera because it's already really bothering me. Like, I love my welcome fall thing, but I feel like I need to change the camera. So hold on. You're going to see my hand grab at you like really large. How about that? How does that look? Is that better? I'm trying to show Dr. Ocelotopus. There he is. Look at him in all his glory, hanging out over there, holding up the stop sign with his ear. If you're one of the original, one of the OGs, you know Dr. Ocelotopus reigns supreme. He even has a little emote, which I can see if I can use on here. There he is. You can use these too if you are, no, I don't have the free ones. But if I had the follower ones, you could use those. But you can use those if you are subscribed on Twitch, and they're fun because Dr. Ocelotopus is the best. So we have a guest today. We have a very interesting guest today. And it's going to be a really good time. Hopefully we're just going to talk, kind of shoot the shit, relax on this Thursday before a long Labor Day weekend. What are you guys doing this weekend? What are you doing on your wonderful Thursday evening at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time? Like 8, like the real time. Oof, I just found out somebody almost hit a deer, and that's terrible. Don't hit deer. It's like part of my don't get dead clause. Like, it's my common advice to people. Unlike our guest who's going to be on later, because I'll ask what his way that he tells people to, drive fast and take chances. I do also say that sometimes, which is really weird. It's one of the reasons why we connected. He doesn't know that, but I'll tell him that later. But I used to say that to people all the time, and then I heard him say it, and I was like, oh my God, this guy's the best. All right, I just had to turn that light up a little bit. Huh. Listen. Some of you are messaging me directly, not on the stream. But how are you guys doing? What's been going on? Do you have plans for your Labor Day weekend? Let me know. I'm going to take a sip of this coffee because I've already gotten several messages that I'm just kind of like, whoa. And I'll play some more. I love this song. This is by Stillface, by the way. You can find them. They are an instrumental-only band. I'll turn it down a little bit, though, so you can actually hear me. I hate fighting for the maximum volume. But yeah, Stillface is a great band. I know the guy who is in it. He's the one who gave me permission to use their music. If you are an artist, you have some music that you'd like me to put out here as background music for what we're talking about, I'd love to talk about it. I do have certain music. It's usually instrumental that I like. Although for my BRB LOL, when I want to get coffee or something, I'm happy to play a track of yours. If you want to get credit for it, I'm happy to put that in there as well. So hit me up. You can send me a DM on Instagram, The Life Coach Insta, or you can send it directly on Twitch. And that is obviously at The Life Coach Twitch. What I love about YouTube, honestly, the reason why I want my YouTube to take off more than even Twitch, and even though I think Twitch is better for live streaming, obviously, because they do a lot more for live streams to be found, YouTube, I have The Life Coach. That is my name. It's youtube.com/thelifecoach. That is some fantastic real estate. I'm sorry. I don't know how the hell nobody else took that, but it's a really good piece of real estate on the internet. So I would like that to take off. So if you could go on there, subscribe. If you have a couple of accounts, please don't double subscribe, but you know what I'm talking about. I know that it's a pain in the ass, but it does help the algorithm. The more followers and the more subscribers that I have, the more comments that I get on those videos, the more you guys chat in live stream chats on YouTube, the more it pushes my videos up in relevance. so that people can find it again and it comes up as trending and people who are moving up and all that jazz. Now, I am looking into Rumble. I've discussed this before. I have to talk to a representative from Rumble and see like what their deal is and what the numbers look like, because I am going to be paying for that. It's not like YouTube where they will ultimately pay you, but because I don't have any real numbers on Rumble or YouTube, they make you pay right now. So I don't know if I want to do that. Like, I know I want to, but I don't know how much I want to. So I have to talk to them first, and once I find that out, you know, I'll let you guys know. And then maybe we move over to Rumble, and that's what I multicast to, and I don't even bother with YouTube. But I think that it's a stupid thing to not be involved in YouTube. Like, all my favorite creators are there. It makes sense to be there. If people can find me there, that's great. And it could strike, you know, like that could strike. So it's kind of, it doesn't make sense to not. Let me go to my website real quick. Check on a couple things here. Let's go to... to see if Facebook is working. I don't see it broadcasting to Facebook. Can you guys see that? Can you see the video, the live stream? Oh, here, I got it. Never mind. Facebook. Can you guys? All right. So I see Facebook, but it's not working. There we go. Okay. So we're on Facebook. And that's at Holistic Life Consultants. It's on I think it's facebook.com/Holistic Life Consultants. You can find me there. Whatever works best for you. So anyway, for everybody who's here already, I say cheers to you. Today we have the mug of the day is our Dark World Mario mug. I could show you around that more when I finish drinking the coffee. But we have 3 minutes till our guest comes on, and I will need your help in chat to do a sound test because I need to make sure you can hear him. Because I changed some things around and I don't want to screw it up. I tested the audio and it worked before, but this has happened before where it was showing it was green lining and almost even yellow lining, and then you guys were saying you couldn't hear it. So I need to make sure OBS isn't totally stupid. I need to make sure that it works for him. So I'm going to start that Zoom call now. I'm going to join with computer audio, unmute myself, see if I can turn on a camera. Can't start the camera. Chris should be able to come on in any time now, actually. I don't know if he's watching the stream. I'm going to tell him to, though. I'll tell you that right now. And I'm going to tell him to watch it on YouTube. But yeah, I will... Oh, here he is. All right, so we did our double sip. I just want to put that out there. But here's Chris Macarini. He is an author. He is a very interesting guy. Hopefully I find out more about his history for you guys because he's just one of the most interesting people I know. And I'll let him introduce himself more. So without further ado, here is Mr. Chris Macarini. Hello. Hey, there you are. So I have you on. I just want to make sure. Can you talk some more? I want to see if the sound works. All right, try that again.
Testing 1 2 3. Testing 1 2 3.
Oh, Miss Nick. Okay, you're on. Can you tell me if you can hear Chris?
Testing 1 2 3. Testing 1 2 3.
Because I do have it under the Zoom box. I do have some regulars here that are very helpful with the sound checking. And if it doesn't work, that's fine, because I've done this before, where I've had the sound not work. Oh, sound is good for you? Awesome. All right, so you're on here. If you want to see me, by the way, Chris, you can go to youtube.com/thelifecoach and just like mute it. And then you can actually see me reacting, like, because I can't have my camera on the live stream and then also have it on Zoom, because the camera apparently is greedy.
YouTube.com/the life coach.
Yep. I think that's what it is. Let me go double check. I'll send you the link. YouTube. Yo, YouTube. Your channel. Let's go to about.
Learning is fun.
That's not true. Who said that?
That's on the life coach channel on YouTube.
Does it have my light bulb on it?
Nope.
Okay. So let me send you the I'll send you the link to this particular video. I don't know why that's not true. Miss Nick, I know that you did the overlays for YouTube. Apparently that's not the correct overlay. So I'm going to send, or that's not the right link for the channel, which I'm not really sure how that works, but that's okay. We'll figure it out.
Send it to email, either my Yahoo or the other one.
I just put it in the Zoom chat.
Oh, perfect.
I got you. I had my decaf coffee. I drank too much caffeinated coffee all day today. Did I mute you? Oh.
No, I muted while I was setting that up.
Oh, okay. Cool. Email me the right one and I'll fix it. I will say, I didn't know that I didn't have the right one. I didn't know that that's not the URL. I'll actually, you know what, I'm going to send a message to them too, but I'll send you the other one so that I can put it up there, because apparently people are going to that. If you subscribe to youtube.com/thelifecoach, sorry, JK, that's not me. So I'll send the right link over to Miss Nick and she'll fix the overlay and then I'll put that back up. So anyway, without further ado, I just wanted to introduce, I did say a little bit about you so far, Chris, and I said on the title that for our intents and purposes today, you are an author, you are a critic of both movies and books, that you are an avid reader and an avid watcher of movies, which I think at this point makes you more qualified than 90% of the internet in talking about what we're going to talk about today. But can you tell us a little bit about yourself, like your background, like why you care about books? Why do you even care about movies? Like what your education, like anything you want to talk about, I think that people want to know.
Well, I've enjoyed books forever. My parents actually made fun of me as a kid for reading too much.
Nice.
If that gives you any idea. I remember my father had built a cabin up in Vermont. I grew up in a town south of Springfield, Massachusetts, and my father built a cabin up in Vermont. We'd always go up, and he actually rigged a light so I could read in the very back of a 1983 Chevy Suburban, read books back and forth. And I was now looking back, I was in the death seat. If we ever got rear-ended, I would be gone. But yeah. So I remember, I think I was in fifth grade and I got caught in elementary school. I was reading Are You There, God? It's Me, Margaret. Because again, there wasn't enough to read. I read everything. So I got in trouble with that. And then not probably about a year later, I got in trouble for reading The World According to Garp. And the only reason that was because one of my relatives had read it and knew it was not appropriate for an 11-year-old. And actually, I started reading Stephen King because Stephen King, nobody had read him at that point. I've since turned all my relatives onto him. So I think the first Stephen King book I read was Different Seasons, which I don't know if everyone's read that, but that is
when was
Rita
that?
Hayworth and the Shawshank Redemption, The Body, which was made into Stand By Me, Apt Pupil, and a novella called The Breathing Method, which is the only one that hasn't been turned into a movie.
Is that the one before Nightmares and Dreamscapes?
Way before.
Way like,
before.
So we're talking like 80s Stephen King?
Yeah, I mean, I was 12, I think, when I read it, something like that.
Wow.
Yeah, so that would have been in the early 80s.
So you were always reading these kinds of things. Why horror? Why suspense? Why horror?
I wasn't always horror, but I was definitely always, I wanted that, I always liked that the danger thriller aspect of it, and I've always been a fan of whodunits. I've read all of Agatha Christie and Sherlock Holmes and Raymond Chandler, and so I've definitely been the crime thriller and horror. Frankly, it's when you look back at you know a lot of these books and even horror movies, they were like Friday the 13th was kind of a messed up whodunit, right? Um, it's easy to for someone who likes thrillers and mysteries and all that to go cross the threshold into the horror genre because there's nothing better than a well done horror book, movie, short story, and all of that. So yeah.
So then you you went on through high school and continued to read everything that existed and got made fun of by your parents, and then you went to college. And
Mm-hmm.
what was the deal with college? What did you go for?
I actually started out as a film major. I was at Ithaca College. I started as a film major, and I was around other film buffs, and that was perfect. I was actually so when I was still in high school, I worked at a video store. I was in the telecommunications club in high school. We made movies. I still remember, like looking back, you could never get away with it. I mean, we did a whole movie like running around our high school with guns, filming, and that was not a big deal back then, obviously. You know and So I wanted to make movies, and I got to Ithaca and I was around people that really knew how to make movies, and well, they really knew how to make boring movies, which is what I found out, and that's what people got A's for, was the those kind of things. My film thesis was a like a serial killer kind of thing, and the teacher was just like, the professor was like, well, that's blah blah. I'm like, oh, looking back, and I still remember the guy standing in front of an auditorium full of film students going, I bet not, I bet two of you work in the film industry. And you're like, oh, yeah, that's awesome. Thank you, sir. Um, so I actually ended up, my film advisor told me I had to take a class. I was required to graduate as a film major. It was only offered in the spring, and my senior year it was full, so I'd have to go to school an extra year. And I told them to kind of pound sand and switch majors to criminal justice. Um, and then I ended up graduating with a criminal justice degree and went on to be a private investigator for a large security company and then a few smaller places. And I still remember talking about film. I've always been a huge film nerd, but I was on an undercover assignment in Chicago for almost a year. And I remember every Friday night I would work my butt off. I'd be at the warehouse I was working undercover at 7 a.m. I'd usually get out of there at 5 or 6 p.m. And then I'd go do surveillance on the warehouse at night on in the rail yards of Chicago, which is a horror story in and of itself.
That sounds fantastic.
But on Friday night at 5 o'clock, it all closed for the weekend until Monday morning. So I would go to the video store and rent a stack of VHS tapes. And I remember I'd just get home Friday night. I'd watch the X Files because it was on Friday nights then, and then proceed to watch movies all weekend. And that's where I really got to go back into the classics and all of that. And my even when I was in college, I mean, I just got turned on. I had people turn me on to especially older movies, which I had, you're a teenager, you don't want to see black and white, you don't want to see. But I mean, I still remember my film aesthetics and analysis class, and watching some of these, this old German silent movie called Pandora's Box, just being like, it was unbelievable. And watching the old Dali movies, Salvador Dali movies. And remember the first movie we saw in English was Out of the Past with Robert Mitchum and Kirk Douglas in one of his first roles. And we cheered just because it was in English, for
You
God's
actually
sake.
could
But yeah,
you could hear
yeah,
it and understand it.
right, right.
Is this what traumatized you from subtitles?
I love subtitles. I prefer subtitles over dubs.
Oh yeah, no, for sure.
Yeah.
But I mean, just subtitles in English speaking movies.
Oh, well, yeah, I enjoy all types of movies, so yeah.
But yeah, I mean, so okay, there's a couple things there. You were a private investigator and you were really into crime procedurals, suspense books, stories about murders and things like that. I guess a couple questions. One is, do the books do a lot of books do a good job? Like, can you tell that at least some of them were written by people who have interviewed or at least were in that law enforcement field? Like, do any movies stick out to you that actually do justice to the craft? And also, like, did it live up to the hype? And was it as interesting as when you read these books and stories and you're like, oh my God, I can't believe all the shit that's going on?
Well, the books have to be romanticized. They have to be, um, like I always go back to Raymond Chandler, but I don't associate The Big Sleep with what I did. They're two different things. There's no movie, no book that can capture the boredom of being an investigator, or frankly, I was never a police officer, but I certainly did stuff that was like 2% close to it. It's tedium, but what they don't capture is, that 98% boredom and 2% terror. Because again, you're doing a surveillance all night on a city street. You don't know what's going to happen. You always have to be alert. And the worst thing that can happen is when you um, aren't paying attention, especially to your surroundings and all of that. I mean, I was on surveillances, and all of a sudden I had 5 cop cars pulled up with guns drawn, pointed at me, saying, "Who are you?"
Damn.
That's yeah. So yeah, they don't capture the tedium. They don't capture the because it is a fine line between, I worked in juvenile detention facilities when I was in college. I worked in prisons. I worked in other places, and you know that there's a reason when you see like a Secret Service agent and those guys, they get refreshed all like on a regular basis. They're not standing in one place at a door for 5 hours at a time. They're getting refreshed depending on the assignment. They're getting refreshed, if you want it done well, every 30 minutes or so,
Wow.
because you're not going to stay alert more than that. And what you don't think about is people have to go to the bathroom. They have to blow their nose. They have to there's stuff that happens that you have to take into account when you do stuff like that. So what they do is a constant rotation, even if it might be a break or whatever. But when you're a single private investigator out in the middle of nowhere, you're it. You're the only. There's no backup. There's no anything. So yeah.
That's interesting. It reminds me of a couple episodes of The X Files when Mulder was punished. So they had him on like watch duty, and he's just like sitting there with a bag of sunflower seeds, and he's just like staring at the same window. And he's like tells Scully, he's like, "Oh yeah, you want to hang out here with me? We've been here for 2 weeks, and if you want to
Yeah.
watch over here, there's nothing going on." And like I think they did an okay job of at least telling you how boring it was, not showing you because they can't show you 2 weeks of sitting there watching the same
Right.
idiot over and over again and nothing happening. But I think there's some people or some places where you see a little bit of that.
Yeah. But I think with books, you get gems. You get people who know what they're talking about as far as like a police procedural. Um,
Who
I
name names? Who
recall
are these people that know what the hell they're talking about?
one of my favorite is Michael Conley. He writes the Harry Bosch books, and he's got a few other series as well. He was a crime reporter in Los Angeles, and he's actually, all of his books are fantastic. They made a TV show on Amazon Prime about it called Bosch. His lead character was named Hieronymus Bosch after the painter, and they reference that in the books.
Yeah.
But the he really captures it because he became friends with all the police detectives. He used the stories they used to tell in in the books. So there's that essence of realism. I still remember, like, there's one gem that stands out where the police detectives would handcuff their chairs that they bought themselves because the city chairs were so uncomfortable. They'd buy their own chairs and then handcuff them to the desk so no one could steal them. And I'm like, that's got to be real.
Yeah,
That's
that's
got
got
to
to
be
be true.
true, right? There's another author that's fantastic, and I really wish he had taken off more, but called Donald Harstad. And he was a deputy sheriff in Iowa, and he wrote a series of books. The first book he wrote was called 11 Days. And he said they called it 11 Days because he was forced to take vacation days. He hadn't taken them. And he wrote the book in 11 days.
That's insane.
And it was written by somebody who knew what he was talking about. And I always, whenever this stuff comes up, I always put, I had a relative who was in World War II, and he flew the B-52 bombers. And we showed him that movie Memphis Belle, if you remember that.
Yep.
And we kind of asked him, how real was it? And he goes, it was very real, but all of the stuff that happened during one flight of the Memphis Belle was for like a whole career flying over there. Like, they just took everything bad that could happen and put it in, and that's what they have to do in movies. They have to make it exciting. They have to make it whatever. But he was like, all that stuff happened. It just didn't happen on a single flight. That just not. But you get it. For movies, for books, you have to make things exciting. You have to engage people. You have to keep them engaged and want to keep reading.
I thought you were going to tell me it was Gene Roddenberry, because during his time of being a police officer, he totally understood the real life of being on the Starship Enterprise. That's what I thought.
I remember that website, The Oatmeal. He has a little story all about Gene Roddenberry, about he was flying a plane and it went down and he was comforting a passenger and all that. And that person, it was like the old Paul Harvey, and that's the way it was. But it was Gene Roddenberry was that pilot.
Yeah, he's an interesting dude because he predicted cell phones.
He predicted a lot of stuff.
Yeah. Hopefully he predicted teleportation so I don't have to drive everywhere.
Well, he said he thought that up because he couldn't figure out how to land the Enterprise.
You know what's funny? In the Nintendo game, the NES game of Star Trek, they figure it out. They bring it into low orbit, and you don't have to teleport. You can go in there, and then they send a shuttle, and the shuttle goes down and lands the same way as if you're in the water and you have a small boat that comes, like a dinghy that comes off of your main boat. Like, and Star Trek: The Next Generation uses shuttles all the time.
Yep. And actually, Voyager, I believe, landed.
Yes, Voyager could land. That was one of the few that could land. I think. Well, I mean, the Enterprise landed, but it wasn't pretty in one of the movies. But yeah, they definitely can be on the ground. But yeah, I mean, they figured out. It's interesting that his solution is, yeah, let's just dematerialize you and then rematerialize you because I can't figure out how to land your boat. Like, that seems wild.
I thought it was incredibly creative, right?
Yeah, he was. I mean, I don't know. That or he was doing DMT. He was talking to the Clockwork Elves, and they were telling him what things were in the future for him. You never know. You never know. So, what about Kolchak?
Kolchak, I remember seeing the first movie in reruns on TV and really liking it. And then when VHS and that stuff started popping up, I tried to find those original couple of movies they made that were really good. I found the TV show. The TV show was okay.
Yeah.
But I guess those first few, I remember that first movie scared the bejesus out of me. But the TV show was, was okay. Darren McGavin is fantastic. He's just a great actor.
Oh yeah.
And he was on the X-Files. He did a guest shot of, I forget which episode it was, but he was also the father in A Christmas Story.
Yes, which was fantastic.
And if you watch a lot of old movies, he pops up all the time.
Yeah, he does. He always reminded me of in Quantum Leap, Al. He looked like an older version of Al.
Yeah.
Which is also a fantastic series, but.
Oh yeah, yeah.
That was like a crime procedural.
It could be. Well, that's the great thing about Star Trek and science fiction. If you have the right platform, you watch an episode of Star Trek, and especially Next Generation, which is really, I love the original series, but Next Generation, you don't know what you're going to get. It could be a political thriller, it could be a drama, it could be a mystery, it could be a horror. They covered everything in that show, and I mean that's what the popularity of Star Trek is just they have unlimited storytelling abilities in that genre, and in especially not just the sci-fi genre, but in that Star Trek universe.
Yeah, I do remember that. And I went back and I watched Next Generation and the original. Like we talked about this before, but I watched the Next Generation. Like now, it's probably been 5 years ago, maybe 6. But like all the episodes are so different. And like if they have the Ferengi in an episode, it's going to be this type of episode. If they have the Cardassians, it's going to be this type of episode. Like if they have the Romulans or if they have the Klingons, it's going to be this type of episode. And then they would have these totally like time period pieces if they did Victorian or Wild West or like whatever. It was going to be like something like that, and they could pull that off. But I think about a show like Quantum Leap very similarly because like in terms of horror, the episode with the devil still, like, I still remember that episode. It scared the shit out of me. Like that episode was terrifying.
That aired when I was in college, and I still remember all my roommates had better fake IDs than me, so they were at the bar, and I stayed home. And my job was to record all the Thursday night shows, including Quantum Leap, because it was like Seinfeld and whatever it was, Wings or whatever. But then Quantum Leap, we were all Quantum Leap fans. And we in college, we didn't watch a lot of TV. That was pretty much it, that Thursday night thing. And I remember it was one of those nights I recorded Quantum Leap, and I'm like, they got back from the bars. I'm like, guys, you need to watch this. And they're like, well, hold on. I'm like, no, 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 sit down. I'm going to rewind it. You need to watch this. And they were all floored. It was just fantastic. And then the little twist at the end
Oh,
with
crazy.
Stevie. Yeah.
Crazy. Like that was insane. And it was just so well written, and you get through it and you're just like, "Oh my god." Like and like the fact that he could see him, and like I mean there were multiple episodes where people could see him, like actually Scott Beckett, but like that episode in particular, it was so well done how they brought it all together at the end that I was just like, I mean, it blew me away. But this just as soon as you find, I mean, I don't think that we have to worry about spoilers. The show's like what, like 30 years old?
I I'm watching out for it. I hope if we talk about some of this stuff, people will go back and watch it. So
Yeah, no, that's fair. That's fair. So Quantum Leap, go watch it and watch all the episodes. There's an amazing episode for Halloween. It is the Devil episode. It is crazy good. Yeah, you're right. I don't want to spoil
yeah.
that. That's a
And
worthwhile episode.
the finale is one of the best finales I've ever seen.
One of the
It
only
was
finales of a show that actually gives you closure.
Yeah, and it may not have been what people wanted, but it was the best that they could have done for that show and for that character.
I I do. So I don't know how much I want to get into this, but I do want to talk about the Godfather series because I talked
Sure.
about this with somebody else recently. Actually, Patrick Clark. I had him on, and we were talking about the Godfather. I think offline, and he said he's not super familiar with it, but like he understands our argument for why the Godfather Part 3 was a great movie, not just like the worst thing that ever happened. Um, I do want to try to do a screen share with you though, because I want to. Let's see how this works. All right, can you see my screen?
Yeah.
Okay. So I'm going to also do advanced sharing options. And I think I'm going to do share sound as well. All right, so share sound. Okay, cool. So first of all, I want to see if this works. All right, chat. You let me know if that works.
It works.
So you can hear that, but like, so I've been trying to do the more you know. All right, it worked. Yes. All right. So every time I try to tell people anything, And I go over like we've been doing definitions of words. Like yesterday, we were talking about self-discipline versus disregard and stuff like that. And like at the end of usually what I've been doing is like saying at the end, and that is, and there was this fantastic The More You Know with Steve Carell on rabies. It's one of the funniest things I've ever seen, and nobody could hear it, and I was very upset. So I'm going to show that to you first just because I can. Let's see. The More You Know. Here we go. Rabies awareness.
Question. Would you build a website for a major brand with more than 200 million?
No.
In the movies, being bitten by an animal gives you the superpowers of that animal, plus other powers. But in real life, the only power you get is the power to die. Learn the facts. Rabies kills nearly 4,000 Americans every 1,000 years. Rabies. Ugh.
I love at the end where he's like, yuck. So I had to. I mean, it's just one of the best things that I've ever seen. And he's so upset about it. So, all right. So anyway, I did want to show you the Kolchak stuff that I looked up because there's a guy, James Acleone. I'm going to try to get him on actually as a guest because he is an author who has done the Dead Jack series. Our friend Jeremy, I gave him the first book of that, and he's since bought every book that he's done. And he has a Monsters Unleashed book that's out right now that I bought. And that is like a retelling of all of the classic horror stories like Frankenstein and like the werewolf and like all that stuff. And he also is doing a Shakespeare Unleashed where he's going to be reimagining Shakespeare books. And it's a compilation with a bunch of different authors and illustrators. And then the other thing he has been contracted to do is the Kolchak series. So that he's actually gotten the ability to write a Kolchak successor. So I thought you might be interested in that. He's very cool. He's definitely a friend of mine. I helped him start up his first book when like he was on a Kickstarter and like nobody knew who he was or what his deal was. And I just read his hilarious synopsis of the book and I'm like, oh, I'm in. So I was one of two of his biggest backers. That's why I'm in his second book. I'm a character in his second book. And yeah, he's a great guy. But I thought that it would be cool if you were into Kolchak, and obviously this is the show versus the movie. The Night Stalker, but it's got a lot of great artwork, and the new stuff that he's doing seems to be pretty exciting. So I just thought I'd throw that out there. The other thing I wanted to talk about is your favorite thing ever, which is IMDb reviews.
People suck.
So I want to preface this by saying a couple things. One is, you and I have discussed this offline that we believe wholeheartedly that people shit on movies and new shows and new content that for no reason, like other than that it's new and obviously because it's new it must be terrible and it's blasphemous and it's just the worst thing ever. But also that older movies like the original Star Wars trilogy or The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly or like Gone with the Wind or some of these older productions also get a ton of terrible reviews from young people who have no clue what they're talking about, like the Godfather reviews. So I don't know if you want to say anything more about that, but I mean, feel free, because I want to play a little game while we're on IMDb.
It drives me crazy when people can't view a movie, a book, in its context and when it came out. If you watch Casablanca and someone's complaining about the special effects, you're just like, are you kidding me? Yeah.
So I want to play a game of kind of like roulette where we just pick a movie and then we try to find the worst reviews for them.
Okay.
So I want you to start. Give me a movie title. I'll look it up and then we'll see what the worst reviews, the stupidest reviews for that are.
Start with The Godfather.
All right, let's go. Godfather, 1972. It has a 9.2 out of 10.
Yep.
And
Let's click on, there you go.
Yep.
Click on that one.
Let's get those 1-star reviews. So it's also broken down by ages. If you are under 18, it has a 9.2. If you're 45 and older, it has a 9.2. So it's not even about like it doesn't have anything to do with age. I think it literally just has to do with intelligence. So
Yeah.
let's go to
Douchebaggery.
exactly. Yeah. So let's go to how do we
Can you click on that little 2.2% on one?
I'm sure we can find it. There's got to be so this is like probably a Metacritic review. All right, so user reviews. Yeah, let's do user reviews. It's not going to be critic reviews.
No critic would dare.
Show 1 star.
There it is.
There it is. Massively overrated. I continually fail to understand why The Godfather is hailed as the greatest movie of all time. I don't know who's saying that. I've seen it twice. A second time just to make sure, and I have to tell you that I sat there in a stupor, bored out of my mind. And I'm not a teenager raised on MTV. What? Wait, first of all, MTV hasn't raised teenagers for 20 years. I'm in my 30s and am absolutely devoted to movies. So you are somebody who was raised by MTV. Okay.
Yeah.
I've seen classics, American and foreign. Ooh, they've seen foreign movies that I can get my hands on. But for me, The Godfather ranks alongside Singin' in the Rain as the most overrated films of all time. I already have so many problems with this review. Are you out of your fucking mind that the Singing in the Rain is overrated?
Oh.
Okay.
Do you ever see Jay and Silent Bob Strike Back, where at the
Yes.
end of where they go and they find all their negative reviewers and fly to their homes and beat the shit out of them?
Yes. Dude, it ranks alongside this fantastic individual as Singing in the Rain as one of the most overrated films of all time. Singing in the Rain
Found it helpful. 141 people found it helpful.
Who are these 141 people? That's what I want to know. Man, it cut out everything. It just totally cut the stream.
How many people were on?
I don't know. More than 0. I got 0 right now. All right, hold on. I'm gonna do a BRB because I gotta get more coffee anyway. So I'm gonna get this set back up. I'm gonna play some music, and
Okay.
I'm gonna get this back together and make sure everybody can get back on.
All right. I'll be right back.
Okay. Facebook is working. I don't see it past broadcasting to Facebook. Can you guys see